From 13ABC, Conklin Company, with 13ABC Action News anchor Lee Conklin. First, with what's happening behind the headlines. And Take 3, our panel of political analysts.
Morning, everybody. Welcome into another edition of Conklin Company, our final show of the year, and getting ready to begin another year, number 8, with insight from newsmakers, community leaders, and just plain folks who do so much to make Northwest Ohio really a special place to live, raise a family. And today we'll look back on the big stories of the year, political in nature, with Blade Politics writer Tom Troy. And a huge year in sports locally. The teams, the storylines that really resonated with so many here in the Toledo area. Our own Joe Nugent will join me a little bit later. But first, we salute really a Toledo original who has said so long, or will say so long, to politics, at least for now, to concentrate on his job as an attorney and to spend more time with his family. That sounds like a cliche, but I think in this case it really does ring true for Mark Wagner. Thanks for coming in.
Great to see you again.
Great to see you.
Thanks
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you
Getting ready for to ring in 2013,
Yep.
and you're going to stay home. You're going to stay in Ottawa Hills and Toledo,
I am. Yep.
and say so long to the legislature in Columbus.
You know, it's been a great 8 years, and really thank everybody in Northwest Ohio for giving me the opportunity to serve and be their voice down in Columbus. You know, I made this announcement about 3 years ago, where I said, hey, I'm going to take my foot off the gas the next time. I'm going to fulfill my term. But I'm going to spend more time with my family, less time on the road, less time in politics and having to put my kids through all of that.
Kids are how old?
Mickey is 8 and Taylor is 4.
Yeah, so I mean, it's time. That's you know, when you're bringing them up and you're going everywhere, you're taking them everywhere. The sports are getting you're getting knee deep in that, I imagine, right?
Between being in ice rinks and being on baseball fields and gymnastics and all of that,
it's the best.
It is the best, and I'm having just a wonderful time.
And so now you say goodbye. When you look back, Mark, and starting as a state rep, and then state senate. When you think about public service, and when people think about politicians, I guess, you know, there's the media, there's the salesman, there's the politician, and we tend to be, the reputations are not great in some circles. When you look back, what do you say you're most proud of that people don't realize from a public servant? You know,
what I'm most proud of, I think, in the 8 years, I always did what I thought was in the best long-term interest in Northwest Ohio. You know, to go back in particular pieces of legislation and accomplishments, there's a lot. You know, between the Great Lakes Compact, what we did with human trafficking, what we did with the merger for UT and MUO. I mean, all of that, you know, in hindsight, means a lot. But what I'm most proud of is I went down there trying to fight for Northwest Ohio. And, you know, at the end of the day, when you look back at your career, not every tough vote advances your career. But I'm most proud of trying to bring Northwest Ohio values to Columbus.
You know, all the research that we do, it all comes back to your vote with Strickland on siding with him in what, it was 09?
It would
that
have been
particular vote?
09, I think.
You know, to help solve the budget mess. And you faced a lot of opposition within your own party. And some said that was the beginning, and you got frustrated. Was that any of the impetus come from that?
You know, I wouldn't say it came from that. It came from just a collection of everything that was going on at the time. I had a great privilege of serving as a majority whip. I got to be vice chair of the Finance Committee, and I was down in Columbus maybe 4 or 5 days a week. Then I was back home. I was constantly meeting with constituents and all of that. And I certainly started to realize that, you know, my son doesn't care that I'm majority whip of the Ohio Senate. He cares that I'm his baseball
Absolutely.
coach. You know, and so that started to phase in and set in. And I also, when I first ran, you know, I sort of planned, I wanted to do something, not be something. And 8 years had been a good run, been able to accomplish a lot of things that I set out to do. And it was time to kind of go back into the private sector. Like the joke I always say too is the Ohio Constitution has its version of term limits, Mrs. Wagner has hers. And enough. And so it was a wonderful job. It was a wonderful experience. You know, I love this community.
How do you juggle it? How do people juggle it?
It was hard. It was, you know, between being a partner at Shoemaker, Loop and Kendrick, and being a state senator representing 4 counties and being a dad, it was tough. It was a lot of really early mornings.
How many days down there during the week?
Oh,
typical week.
Typical week would be
session.
3 days a week. Usually leave really early Tuesday morning, get on the road maybe 6 or 7 o'clock. Be down there all day Tuesday, all day Wednesday, and all day Thursday, and usually get home for dinner on Thursday night. And then when I was back home, I had a lot of the meetings. You know, you want to make sure that you're out there talking to people, finding out.
But then there's work. There's the job.
Work. Yeah,
the other job.
Then there's the other job, which, you know, I think it was great to have myself sort of rooted in the private sector also. You know, sometimes if you do this in the legislature, it's your full-time job, you sort of lose perspective on things. And so, you know, practicing law, incredibly patient partners, incredibly helpful partners, but a lot of late nights, a lot of early mornings, you know, but it was a challenge. Looking back at it, you know, I'm not quite sure how it all worked and how I pulled it off, but was able to over 8 years at least.
We've been doing this interview for 6 minutes, and I have not said Republican or Democrat yet. Obviously, you're a Republican. But in leaving the legislature now, where do you see the politics going as far as Governor Kasich goes? You know, he's been, you know, he really has ruffled feathers. Not really afraid to do what he wants to see, he feels is right. His approval ratings have come up a little bit now.
They have. Yeah.
He says we're on the comeback trail. Unemployment rates have come down here in the state. You know, where are we with Republican Governor John Kasich?
Yeah,
now?
you know, the governor's a good friend of mine, and I have a very close relationship with him. You know, the great thing about John Kasich is when he ran for governor, what he said was, I was going to focus on the economy. I'm going to focus on jobs. I'm going to try to get the state budget problem solved. And, you know, to his credit, the economy in Ohio is really picking up. We're, I think, 3rd or 4th in the country in job growth of the last year or two. We had an $8 billion budget shortfall that we were able to get resolved. And what's interesting about the governor is I haven't really met anybody like him.
Nor have I.
He's got a lot of energy, but he's a man of principle. He's a man who kind of lays his heart, you know, leads with his heart, and isn't afraid to do things that are sometimes difficult to do. But, you know, the proof of the pudding is in the tasting. And when he said that he was going to focus on the economy and try to create jobs, you know, it's hard to argue with the results that we've gotten in Ohio the last couple of years.
Do you think he is long for Ohio, or does he want to go back to Washington?
You know, I don't know. I know he loves being governor.
I need to talk to him about that.
Right? I know he loves being governor. I am certain he's going to run for re-election. I'd be shocked if he didn't run for re-election. And, you know, he's going to have to cross that bridge when he comes to it. I mean, if he can continue to
He'll be on a train, by the way, right? And if you're not on that train...
He's not on it, right. That's right. That's the bus.
Was it the bus?
Yes. I've been on the other side of the bus from time to time, too. And, again, he's just a very passionate guy. And that's how he feels. And I wouldn't be surprised at some point if he does make a run for the White House. I think he would be refreshing in Washington, just the way that he is. But I do know that he is really focused on Ohio now, and he has not talked to me or anybody who I know about running for president.
Final thoughts on your time in Columbus, representing this part of our state. It used to be the forgotten part of Ohio. It was the 3 Cs and Northwest Ohio and Toledo. Do you think it's that way anymore?
You know, I think we made a difference. You know, I think that we have, you know, with our delegation that we have down there now, we do have a lot of clout in the State House. And the final thoughts were, it's the best job I ever had. It was, you know, a lot of long nights, a lot of early mornings, but loved going into the State House every day, loved meeting with the constituents back here, and I do it again. You know, if I had the decision to make 9 years ago, I guess, when I first decided to pull petitions and run, I'd do it again.
And your son Mickey would probably say the best job you had is as being a father.
Right. Well, you know, between straightening out Will Birchbeck's swing and Mickey Wagner's swing, that's going to keep me busy for the next couple of summers.
We'll work with Jay on that. You know, when he gets into the batting cage with his son. All right. Mark Wagner, congratulations.
Lee, great to see you. Thanks for having me on.
We'll see you down the road here.
Yep, absolutely.
Come back on Conklin Company in just a minute. Talk about the big stories of the year as far as the sports world is concerned. Right here, close to home. Stay with us.